Hi, I'm Curious Vedan, and welcome to season 4 of my podcast. Today, my guest is Amol Gurwara, who is the country manager, Kindle Content India. He is currently based out of Amazon's Singapore office. Prior to Amazon, Amol worked for Electronic Arts for 11 years as their managing director in India. EA is known for their famous games such as FIFA, Plants vs. Zombies, Need for Speed, and Battlefield. Hi Amol, welcome to my show.
Hi, Vedant. I've heard so much about you and your show, and I've also listened to a few episodes. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you today.
Yeah, this will be fun. I order lots of stuff from Amazon. Lots of my books come from Amazon.
That's great. I hope you enjoyed reading them.
I do. Even some of my Legos come from Amazon.
Oh, nice.
So Amol, I'm curious to know about your current role at Amazon.
Sure. I've been at Amazon now for 3 years, and I'm responsible for two businesses here. Firstly, as the country manager for the Kindle business, I'm responsible for the ebooks offering, helping readers find the best selection of books, helping publishers and authors publish books, innovating with new products and new features to help readers discover, buy, and read books. You probably know that in addition to the Kindle e-reader device, we also have the Kindle apps, which are available on Android and iPhone smartphones. So a lot of technology, product management, design, marketing functions is what I am responsible for. I work with a very talented team that looks after all these functions. And apart from that, I forgot to mention, we also have a subscription business called Kindle Unlimited. That's part of the Kindle offering. And the second line of business that I'm responsible for is building a new education business for Amazon, for which we've taken some early steps.
Do you also design the looks of the Kindles?
Well, we have the Kindle consists of both the hardware as well as the software, and design is a key element that goes into both the actual, hardware of the product, how it interacts with the readers, the human-computer interface, the quality of the display, and all of those things. That is done by the devices org, the devices team, and the software of the Kindle service, which is basically the operating system, the reading capabilities and features, everything to do with discovery, search, buying options, all that is done by the product team that I work closely with.
Books have been there forever. How did Kindle come into being?
That's a great question. It's I think it was towards the end of 2007 that the first Kindle device was launched. There are some very inventive people at Amazon, and Amazon was already a significant books retailer at that point. And Amazon's vision was and is to offer the best selection and make it easy for readers to discover books and buy those books. But if you look at physical books, right, which basically use paper and ink, those have been around for centuries. And all of us on Amazon believe that that's the best way to read a book, right? Through paper and ink, and it's always going to remain that way. Books are going to, hopefully remain forever. But there are certain limitations, right? Because books are physical products, they have volume and weight. So the number of books that you can find in a store, in a physical store, are limited. You can't carry a lot of books with you if you're going on a vacation, or if you're, the space in your house is limited and you can't store more than a few books. So that was a real problem, right? And the folks in Amazon thought about how to solve that problem, and then they came up with the idea of having an e-reader, which can basically store thousands of books digitally, right? Now, what happens when you have a book in a digital format, you can also search within the book, right? You can search for a book by putting in keywords such as humor or travel or food or fiction, any such keyword. So you can find books easily, which you may not be able to do in a physical store. But also within the book, it's easy for you to track where you are in the book. It's easy for you to bookmark and not forget when you resume your reading after a break. So there's a lot of problems that get solved on new things that you can do, which are not possible to do in a physical book, right? So that's basically how the idea came about. And it's been a series of inventions since 2007, as the teams have worked to continuously improve the reading experience.
I can see how new books are made available on Kindle since they are already typed on a computer. How are old books digitalized?
Right. So most of the books, or almost all the books that you find in the Kindle store, are either published by publishers. These are companies who actually help authors take their books and sell them and promote them, and do all the marketing and make sure that they are available in all the stores, so that more and more people can buy them. But Kindle also offers books from independent authors, right? So typically what happens is, it's not just the new books, but old books are also digitized by either publishers or authors. And you can digitize a book in many different ways, right? You can have someone type out the book, or you can actually scan the book. Many books have images and charts and graphs and all of those things. So those definitely need to be scanned and converted into images. So that's basically, in a simple way, that's essentially how books find their way into either the app or the Kindle device. And once a book is converted into text, like I mentioned earlier, it makes it easy for you to align the page and set the margins and make sure that the book it flows well, so that when the reader changes the font, the whole page doesn't get gobbled up, right? It's presented in a nice, easy to read manner for the person reading it. So that's typically how things work. And whether it's an old book or a new book, you go through a process of digitization, which involves, either of the approaches that I just talked about, either, typing it into text or using technology to convert, image format into text format.
So if the authors are like dead, the publishers of the books can publish the book on Kindle?
Yeah, that's right. As long as the publisher has secured the rights of the author to publish the specific book, they can go ahead and publish those. In certain cases, when authors pass away, their family owns the rights, or their trustees own the rights, and then they in turn engage with publishers to publish those books. And then the publishers are the ones who engage with companies such as Amazon to actually get those books onto the Kindle service.
That's very interesting. Kindle also offers self-publishing, like you said. If any of my listeners are authors, how can they publish their books?
Sure. Well, the simple answer is with the click of a button. All you need is a story or a manuscript of a book, and you need a Kindle Direct Publishing account. So Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP as it's commonly known. You can go there and create a free account, and you can upload your manuscript. You can set up a description of the book. We use terms like metadata, but basically what it is how would you like the book to be identified? How would you like the book to be categorized? Is it a funny book? Is it a book on travel? Is it a book on health? Right? Is it a book for children? And then you can set the price. You can say which country I want to sell this book in. Apart from publishing the book on a digital format, you can also request for a paperback version of that book, right? So that's as simple as it is. You can essentially publish a book in a matter of minutes, or maybe in a matter of hours, you'll see your book live on the Amazon store. But it's also important to talk about why we offer this service, right? So there are many authors who prefer to work with a publisher who guides them and helps them in getting their books across the world onto stores and eventually onto readers' hands. But there are a lot of authors who struggle with that process. There's a famous story about J.K. Rowling. You might have heard that she got rejected by, I don't know what the number is, maybe 12 publishers before someone agreed to publish her books, right? There are other authors like Stephen King who allegedly had the same kind of trouble because publishers' interest may not overlap with what the author's trying to express by way of the book, right? So the value of a service like Kindle Direct Publishing is that you don't have to run from pillar to post to get a publisher to publish your book. You can reach out to millions of readers across the world in a matter of hours, right? So that's a great service. It's very popular. Millions of authors across the world use that service to publish books every single day.
If I'm an author and I write a book and I haven't sent it to the publisher, I haven't asked a publisher to publish it, can I still publish it on Kindle?
Yes. All you need to do is go to Kindle Direct Publishing, create an account, and follow the steps that I just described earlier, which is upload your Word doc, give a name of the book. Oh, and also the fun stuff. You can design a cover page. You can design it yourself with a JPEG file, or the Kindle service can connect you to other people who can design it for you. You own the rights of your book. So even though you're publishing it on Kindle, if you want to make it into a movie or a web series, those rights lie with you, not with Kindle, right? So it's very, very simple for you to publish a book using the KDP service.
So, and can you publish in any language, or does it have to be English?
No, there are many, many languages that are supported. And the tool actually gives you a list of languages that are supported. So there's a whole host of options. For example, in India, you can publish in Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, Hindi. There's so many languages that are supported.
Once you publish the book on Kindle, how do you promote the book so that people know it's on Kindle?
That's a great question. There are two ways to do it. It starts with describing the book properly, right? So when I talked about setting up the Kindle Direct Publishing account and uploading your manuscript, you get a lot of forms or fields that you can fill in that say, here's the title of the book, here's a 3-line description of the book. And in addition to that, you also get to enter certain keywords and phrases that the book should be associated with. So for example, if you write a book on magical, mystical creatures, you can, start to use those terms, or you can say science fiction set in Southeast Asia. It involves noodles turning into giant pandas or whatever, right? Use your imagination and have fun with it, but also try and use words to describe it that will find appeal with the readers, right? The more you can make your book descriptive, the better is the appeal that you'll have with readers, because readers are of different types. Some people like reading science fiction, others like to read mystery novels, and yet others like to read non-fiction business books, right? So it starts with you describing the book accurately and as elaborately as you can. But apart from that, you can also advertise both on Amazon and outside of Amazon to promote your book. Amazon also does a lot of promotional events where they promote certain categories of books, and they ensure that there's a recommendation engine that Amazon is famous for. We use that recommendation engine to help readers find books that they're likely to want to read, right? So there's a lot of ways in which books can be promoted on behalf of authors, and authors can also use marketing and advertising capabilities that Amazon offers to them.
I read out that the word Kindle means to light a fire. Why did Amazon choose this word to name this device?
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and I don't think I have the perfect or the most accurate answer because it happened a long time ago. As you know, as I mentioned, Kindle was launched towards the end of 2007, but it did take a few years for that service to actually get built. So it was a long time ago. I was clearly not there in Amazon, but I've spoken to people who were either there or they have a more accurate version of what might have happened. A lot of things that happen in companies like Amazon, almost everything is teamwork, right? So there was a lot of brainstorming that happened with the team that was inventing the Kindle. And one of the things they wanted to, or let's start with what they didn't want to do. They didn't want this to sound like a techie kind of a name, right? They wanted a name that is memorable and it's simple enough that people would want to use it and not come across as something that's a technology product, right? So I don't think there's one person who sort of came up with that name. It was actually a team effort. But you're absolutely right that Kindle basically means to light something up, right? So it could be about lighting something, or it could be about making it bright. So when you read on a Kindle, you're basically lighting up an idea or you're kindling up an article, right? So those are the phrases that it typically lends itself to, and it is a nice, catchy name that's memorable. It's easy to comprehend. So it stuck, and that's how the term Kindle came to be. Yeah, like I said, there are many versions of that story, and that's the one that I have.
Now, let's move to your previous job at Electronic Arts. Can you tell me more about your role there?
Sure. I spent a lot of time in Electronic Arts. It was a fun job. How can you not enjoy working in video games? So along the course of my 11 years, I must have worked on at least maybe 20, 25 video games. The last 3 games, prominent games that my studio was responsible for were Bejeweled Blitz, Plants vs. Zombies, and Tetris. And a game studio typically consists of game designers, artists, engineers, producers, project managers. So it was really a good mix of highly talented and fun-loving people. We had a lot of fun making those games and running those games. My studio was focused on mobile games. There were many studios in Electronic Arts. Some were focused on creating games for Xbox and PlayStation and PC. But my studio was dedicated towards mobile games. So we also collaborated a lot with studios across the world in building these games and taking them out to players across the world. Gaming is a lot of fun. We also have a separate team that actually does game testing. So imagine a job where all you're doing is playing games throughout the day, And of course, they're very talented people. They find bugs and issues with the game to make sure that they are caught and addressed by the engineering teams. But yeah, it's a lot of fun and a lot of creative work.
Why don't you introduce a new idea to Amazon to make its own games?
Oh, Amazon has a very prominent gaming studio already. It's based in the US. I have not spoken to that team yet, and it's a very big company, so we are all busy with our own businesses. But they do have a gaming studio, and Amazon also owns Twitch, which is the world's leading streaming service for games. So Amazon has a lot of businesses and initiatives that are tied to games, and they also make their own games. Recently, some of my colleagues from Electronic Arts actually joined Amazon in the gaming team.
Moving forward, I know that you are building the education business for Amazon. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, sure. So this is a new business that we are building on behalf of Amazon. Education is a big space, and as you know, the best form of education is to learn from a teacher, right? That has been the most important way of learning. But a large part of education is also about learning by yourself, right? And part of that involves having access to high quality content. So the way we think about the education business is to make sure that students have content available whenever they need it. Because if you're outside the class and you don't have a teacher to talk to, then what's the next best way? You can read a book, right? Or you can go online. So we try and use the power of technology to make sure that you have all the content at your disposal 24/7. And the second thing that's important for any student like you who's trying to learn something is to get into the right practice routine, right? So you can learn something and you reinforce it by practicing it regularly, right? So those are some of the features that we are building to give people access to textual content, video content, and live tutoring content. But we also allow people to practice on their own time and get better in the subjects that they want to, learn and master. We also use a lot of data science to make predictions about what you should be learning next. So the software actually tracks your performance over a period of time and intelligently tells you that, these are your strength areas and these are your weak areas. So you should practice more on, specific areas. So there's a lot of services that the team is innovating to build an education business. And, almost every month there are new features being rolled out. So pretty soon we're going to have a very comprehensive education offering that students can use to complement what they learn in school.
So it's kind of like a homeschooling app.
Yeah, you can call it that. You can use it along with your regular school, or you can use it to supplement what you've learned in school. And the use of different videos, basically, it makes learning a lot of fun, right? So through the use of videos and interesting activities that you can do, you get to enjoy the process of learning and get to reinforce what you've learned in class. That's the whole idea of the product.
For which ages is the?
Oh, yeah. Right now, it's for students in India who are between 15 and 18 years of age. That's how we are starting, but that's not where we're going to stay. So we do have plans to offer the education service for both younger students as well as older students. But we'll do it in a phased manner.
What did you want to be as a child?
Well, I wanted to grow up, first of all. I think, like many kids, my aspirations kept changing. I remember when I was really, really young, I wanted to become an astronaut because India had sent its first astronaut into space. And of course, depending on the season, it changed from wanting to be a cricketer to a doctor to a scientist to God knows what. But by the time I was in college, I started to develop a lot of interest in media, advertising, and communications. And then I started a small ad agency of my own, helping businesses promote themselves. And then I went to college and studied advertising. And then I started getting exposed to technology. So here I am at the intersection of media and technology. But like I said, my first ambition was to grow up.
You're really lucky. Most people I've interviewed haven't been able to do what they wanted to do as a child. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, they will eventually end up where they want to.
Yeah.
And things keep changing. The funny thing is the iPhone and App Store was introduced in 2007, and I passed out of college in 1998. So almost 9 or 10 years after I graduated, it took the smartphone industry to actually launch an app store. And I made a career out of building video games, which were distributed and sold on the app store. So nobody knows what is going to happen in the next 10 years and 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So things will keep changing and you just have to find your interest. When you do find it, you go after it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your hobbies?
Hobbies. Oh my God. Okay, so I have a lot of interests and some of those get converted into hobbies. In terms of interests, I like traveling and food, and I like reading about businesses and technologies and fun stuff. I follow the games industry. I follow a little bit of crypto and NFT and what's going on in the technology space. But my main hobby actually is music. So I play the guitar, and in the last year or so, I've been learning jazz and theory, which I've never learned. I've been playing for a long time, and I've played with other musicians, but I've never formally learned. So that's my main hobby. And apart from that, I also like following products and design. That's another passion of mine. I like to see how products get designed and become big businesses on their own accord. So that's another passion of mine.
In fact, I design products.
You do? I'd love to see.
I design cars.
You design cars?
And trains.
Is that with Lego blocks?
No, with pen and paper.
Wow.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you. Good luck with your podcast series. Thanks, Vedant.
Thank you. Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedant, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedant wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on curiousvedant.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedant, and don't forget to rate and leave comments.